Okay, so everybody, thank you so much for giving up part of your evening to join me tonight. I know how busy life can be, especially if you're self-employed. So I don't think I've met any of you before. So I'm Chris. As I said, I'm a chartered accountant and I'm the founder of HustleMate. So I work with freelancers, side hustlers, small business owners all over the UK. So I help them make sense of tax, bookkeeping, and all the boring but really important parts of running a business. Crucially, without the jargon or the big accountancy fees. So if you want to become a member of HustleMate, it's a flat £5 a month. We keep you up to date with things like making tax digital, all your deadlines, and we're part of a growing community as well. So the more we help each other, I think the better we all become. I started HustleMate to give people like you affordable, practical advice so you can stay compliant and confident, even if you're not ready to pay for a full accountant yet. Or even if you do, it might just be a good way of checking what you're getting from your accountant already is good value. So that's my sales pitch. We're talking about something that's been on everyone's radar lately, making tax digital, or MTD for ITSA. It's one of the biggest changes to the tax system in years. There's been lots of confusion about it, especially online. I see loads of things sort of quite misleading. So we're going to clear up tonight who it affects, what you actually need to do. So I'll explain what's changing, when it's changing, and how to prepare so it doesn't become a last minute panic. Cover what MTD actually means, who it affects and when, what software you're going to need, what records HMRC will expect, how to get ready now. I've tried my very best to pull out the benefits of what making tax digital can be for you. Just going to cover off some common myths and questions, and finally, just how HustleMate can help you prepare. And so, making tax digital for income tax self-assessment, you might also have seen this shortened to MTD for IT as well recently. So essentially, it's a government program to modernize tax reporting. And what it essentially means in practice is instead of one annual return, which you'll do now for self-assessment, you can have four quarterly returns to do every year, as well as a final year-end submission. Okay. And the goal of this from HMRC's point of view is to reduce errors, to improve accuracy, and to move to a real-time tax reporting. Who does it affect? So this specific MTD is for sole traders and landlords with qualifying income above a certain threshold. So I'll come on to the qualifying income in a minute. And the threshold applies for individuals. So it takes into account all self-employment and or property income together. So you might be running or have various different businesses. So what you will need to do, if they're all sole trader income, you'll add all those up together, see if you're over the threshold. If you are, then MTD will apply to you. At the moment, partnerships and companies are ignored. They are to be phased in later. So if you do have a partnership with anybody, you can ignore that for now. It's purely sole trader income and landlord income. So qualifying income. So this is really important distinction. Okay. So it determines whether you fall into the brackets if you're over the threshold. So what it does include, it's your total income from self-employment, and this is before expenses. Likewise, income from UK property, it's before expenses. Okay. And again, both sources are added together for the threshold test. So when I say before expenses, it's all your receipts. So everything you invoice, or everything anybody pays you, all your receipts added together. So just to be clear, it's not profit, okay? And it excludes any PAYE employment income. So if you have a job as well as sole trader income, you're purely looking at your sole trader income, okay? Ignore any dividends, savings, or pensions income, and ignore any overseas property income. Okay. So when does it start for you? Okay. So when you've added up all your receipts and your income, you look at the threshold. Okay. So the first wave that's coming, which starts in April 2026. Okay. That's for anyone who's got total income over £50,000. And that £50,000 relates to the income you had in the tax year 2024 to 2025. So if you've already done your tax return for this year, if you haven't, don't panic. You've got until the 31st of January to do it. But that's the period you're looking at. So from the 6th of April 24 to the 5th of April 25 if your sole trader and or landlord income was over £50,000, you will start making tax digital from April next year. Okay. And then you can see there the year after that limit is £30,000, and then that drops down to £20,000 for the tax year 26/27. So from 2028, you will start making tax digital. So if it doesn't apply to you now, it's probably coming down the line. So it's not a bad thing to be prepared and know what to do. Okay. So as I say, the HMRC will confirm the future rollout for partnerships and other sources of income. What you can do if you choose to, you don't have to. But if you are one of these people who just wants to be organized and get in the swing of it before you have to, you can voluntarily adopt now, so you can join Making Tax Digital. So what will you need if you are in or when you do cross over that threshold? So HMRC have approved software. So this is like programs like QuickBooks, Zero, Free Agent. You've probably seen loads of adverts on TV, social media for these. The list is huge. You don't have to keep, you don't have, sorry, you don't have to use these. You can have spreadsheets. If you're a spreadsheet person, I am. But what it will mean is that you'll have to find some API link between your spreadsheet and being able to submit that to HMRC. Not one software works for everybody. So if you are due to hit Making Tax Digital for April next year, you've still got a bit of time just to go have a look around at different ones and what you feel works for you. Um, you have to keep digital records. Okay, so if you have any cash transactions, what you'll do in your software is you'll create a digital record of those. So I don't know, your business may be you work on a stall, a market stall on a weekend, and you're taking cash and you're paying cash. What it'll just have to mean is that for Making Tax Digital, you'll have to record that in your software, and it'll have to be part of those quarterly submissions, as I mentioned. So they start in April, they run every 3 months, and you have 1 month to submit those. If you don't submit those, there are penalties, but it works on a point system. So it's not like you're a day late, you instantly get a fine, which is the case with self-assessment. What it does mean with quarterly submissions, if it's not right in the first quarter, you do have a chance to correct in the quarter after. So if anybody's familiar with VAT returns, which is a system which is already up and running for Making Tax Digital, if you have a late invoice that you didn't include in one quarter, you just include it in the next quarter, so there's a catch up. And then after you've submitted all 4 quarters returns, you'll have a year-end submission. So how to prepare now? Okay, so the first thing to do is check your income threshold. Hopefully most people know this, but if you don't, you can have a good idea of just adding all your income up over the particular tax year that it's relevant to. Said here, so if you get your records in shape, so really good tidy bookkeeping, have some consistent categories, it's really going to help you out when you come to do your returns. Try software early. So as I say here, most offer free trials. Just try out what works for you. Some are really brilliant for some businesses. If all you've got is one client, if you're a freelancer, or two, three clients, you don't really need all singing and all dancing. You don't need anything to record stock, which some do. So one I use is Free Agent, and I do get that free because I bank with NatWest. So that's NatWest and RBS. They offer Free Agent for free. But they all do a generally similar thing. The key is just to make sure that they're on the list of HMRC approved softwares. Fourth point there, to separate business and personal finances. So this is one of the biggest kind of tips I would give anybody really, whether your business is big or small. It just becomes such a nightmare and a headache to try and separate business finances if you only have one account. So again, there are free bank accounts out there. There are business specific bank accounts. So again, I bank with Metal, which is part of NatWest, and that's a free account. So I've got a free bank account, business bank account, which comes with free HMRC approved accounting software. If nothing else, I would recommend keeping a business and a personal bank account completely separate. Okay. And then the final point there, if you join a community for guidance, there'll be other people in your industry, in your position. Again, shared knowledge, we all benefit. These are the benefits that I can think of for MTD. Okay, so for a start off, you'll have better visibility of your business finances. Okay, you have to keep on top of them because you know every 3 months you're gonna have to submit this quarterly return, right? So you're gonna see what's coming in your business and what's going out of your business. You'll have fewer mistakes and fewer missed expenses. So I know in the past I've been guilty. I've probably bought something a year ago. I'll come to do my self-assessment tax return and I can't find that email or I can't find that receipt and it's just gone and it's just painful because if you can't include the expense, effectively you're overpaying tax. So if you can keep bookkeeping a lot tighter and make sure you don't have any missed expenses, then you're going to benefit. You're going to have easier planning and budgeting. Okay, so as you're going along, you're submitting your quarterly MTD returns. You're going to know what your tax liability is looking like. But a lot of people I know and working in practice, clients tend to do their tax return December, January time, maybe late January time. And when you do that, of course, what you're doing is you're just shortening the window for knowing what your tax liability will be. So as you're doing this quarterly, you'll have a good idea of how much money you're making and how much tax you'll have to pay. I said here a more professional setup. So that's not kind of saying anybody's not professional. I just think when you've got accounting software, it helps you produce invoices, helps you chase invoices automatically. It's better for cash flow. Everything just feels a lot more tighter. And I think for me personally, I know when I started using accounting software, free agent, it's almost it does feel quite grown up. Rather than me just kind of sending invoices out, made on Word and, it can be the odd typo. This is really kind of consistent and just a real professional feel. And then future-proofing your business. So HMRC are only going to go one way with this. With making tax digital, this is probably the first step. Who knows what's going to be next, but it will set your business up well for any changes that do come down the line. So as I said at the start, I've seen a few things maybe online, just sort of common myths and just misconceptions maybe. So what this doesn't mean is you'll pay tax quarterly. So your tax payments will still be the same as they are now. You'll pay in January, or if you're on payments on account, you'll pay your first installment in July and then your second in January, exactly as it is now. So if you submit quarterly returns, you're not paying any extra money, you're not claiming any money back if you're in a repayment position. That stays exactly the same. Secondly, you're not going to send any receipts. So you will keep your receipts as you always have to do now. You'll keep them digitally. So if you get paper copies, most accounting software comes with the ability just to, on an app, just to take a photo of your receipt. So that all gets stored there, but you don't send them anywhere. They just stay with you in your accounting software. Saw as well somebody was saying HMRC are going to get into your bank. That's absolutely not true. That's never a thing. It should only be you who can see in your bank. Um, One which I think has got a valid point. People are going to say it's going to cost a fortune. This software doesn't come for free. What I would say to that is there are plenty of low cost solutions. There is the free agent one which I've talked about. And it's finding the one that's right for you. So there are absolutely some really expensive accounting software out there, all singing, all dancing. But again, if you're just a business which only has a few invoices and a few expenses, you just don't need that. So again, it's finding that sweet spot of what will tick the box, but not also cost you too much money. The last one on there, people say you have to hire an accountant. Well, not strictly true. It depends on, again, how complex your business is. If you're relatively straightforward, these are things that you can absolutely do yourself. The software is designed to be user friendly. I'm an accountant. I deal with debits and credits and double entry bookkeeping. These accounting software programs are not like that whatsoever. They're really simple to use. They use friendly terminology, and they are designed for you as a business owner to be able to do this without an accountant. So what we would do, if you remember, we give you a simple step-by-step checklist for every stage. So whether you're entering in April 26, 27, 28, we'd always make sure you're at the right place, you got the right setup. Where you might find you do need an accountant is maybe for the year-end submission, just to make sure everything's all correct. You've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. But absolutely, to pay an accountant for four quarterly returns plus a year-end return, you're looking at probably quite an expensive fee for that. So help you choose how to use software affordably and appropriately. Any questions, I'm always here, email, phone, whenever you need the support. Okay, so without the hourly fee, as I say, it's just a fixed £5 every month. And then we also keep you on track with monthly reminders and resources that we send straight to your inbox every month.